Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. It's your brother's man from the hopeful elect, hoping to make our calling and election sure. Back with another Freestyle Friday video this Friday evening. As we bring in the Sabbath day, going to talk about today, you see the title, A Husband's Love, which could also be a husband's correction. Right, we're going to get into it. I got two videos I want to share. And then I have some precepts, of course, you know what I'm saying? And just give us something to think about. Mainly the women. Give the women something to think about through the Sabbath day, through the week. And the video may seem kind of hard, right? But sometimes hard truths are needed just to give us reminders and things to think about, right? And to put things in context, right? And to be well instructed. The Bible encourages us to be well instructed, man, and to be washed by the word of God. So we're going to do a little bit of washing today, right? Because social media and the world that we see it today has they have made us dirty. These things in the world have made us dirty, and we need some washing, right? But without further ado, I want to give all honor and praise and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his son as an instrument of salvation for the nation. And that nation is Israel, right? Shalom to the 12 tribes. Shalom to the brother Baruch in the chat, scribing, right? Every organization needs a scribe, right? They're a pretty big backbone in this thing, whether they feel like they're needed or not. Shalom to the brother. Shalom to the cleavers out there. Shalom to the commandment keepers as well. All right. Let's go ahead and get this video started by first playing the shofar. Man. So both these videos will be coming by way of Instagram, right? By Instagram. And like I said, man, this video may be a little harsh, but sometimes a little hard. Tough love is needed, right? For our psyches, right? For the psychology of us. But just so that it won't just be coming from a man. I believe these two videos are women speaking. Once again, coming from Instagram.
You're being corrected. And I had
right. She said, you're not being disrespected, you're being corrected.
That myself. Because correction isn't always disrespect. You just don't know the difference. Every time your husband or partner tries to check you, correct you, hold.
Right. So we say in this title, it says a husband's love. We know in the Bible, love can be seen synonymously as correction, right? Correction is love, right? It says we should not hate our brother in our heart, but we shall rebuke him and not suffer sin upon him, right? So that rebuking is correction, right? And the opposite of hate is what? Love, right? We see that the Lord himself chastises, right? Punishes, withholds things, corrects who he loves, right? So we see love being synonymous with correction. Now, Nadia Ra, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Nadira,
Nadira?
Right? Nadir, I don't know. But
Nadira Ali?
Nadira Ali, I guess.
Muhammad Ali?
A Muslim name, right? But it said, she said, be honest, do you take correction as disrespect? And a lot of times, man, we get caught up in our pride and our ego, and we don't see that we were wrong in a situation. And then when somebody points out that we were wrong, we take it as disrespect instead of correction. Just because why? We don't like the way it was delivered. We don't like who it came from. Me and Denal was just talking today on the way uh, to a work site, and we were talking about another brother that got fired, or he quit his job, right? He was running away from correction, right? Because he took it as disrespect. This brother knew he was supposed to be somewhere twice, and he overslept. He was late. He wasn't doing his job, right? And now everybody was depending on this brother for this event, and the person that was throwing the event got on to the brother, right? And the brother was like, I don't need this, I didn't sign up for I'm a grown man. And he ended up quitting because he didn't like the correction. He took the correction as disrespect. Now that's an example of a man, right? Because men also need to learn how to take correction, right? Even though this video is going to be geared towards the women, but we need to learn how to take correction no matter what form it comes. I'm not justifying the form that it comes in, because it may come in a bad form, but you individually need to be grown enough, need to be mature enough to take correction in any form that it comes in. If that form may be angry, if that form may be petty, if that form may be strict, it doesn't matter, embarrassing, you need to take the correction, man. And through life, through your childhood, you should have learned that, and to the point to where it doesn't mess with you, it doesn't phase you, you don't run away from it, you don't feel disrespected from it, right? And so that's what she's going into, is being corrected from your husband, right? Or from your man.
Accountable or tell you something you don't like, you take it as disrespect. And that's the problem. And it sounds like this. He might say, I don't like when you make decisions without asking me first. And instead of you hearing a man asking for partnership, you hear, he's trying to control me. He might say, every time we need to talk, you keep shutting down. And instead of you receiving that as accountability, you turn it into, oh, well, now everything's my fault. He might say, watch your tone when you talk to me. And instead of you fixing how you're coming across, you get defensive, like he's attacking you instead of correcting your action. And see, that's where a lot of women get it wrong, because correction isn't always disrespect. Sometimes it's accountability. Overall, you want a man to lead, but you don't want to be told what to do.
Right. And there's a running joke that women don't take accountability. They have those little games where couples will play, I bet you my husband, or I bet you my wife, or I bet you my boyfriend, or I bet you my girlfriend can't name this celebrity, right? And then, there was that one, it was a stretch where they was like, I bet you my girlfriend can't spell these words. And they might go through some hard words, and then they get to the word accountability, and then the girl acts like she can't spell it, because the running joke is that women don't take accountability, right? And so the three answers that she had mentioned, the first one, the woman, the woman in the situation, she took it personal. Instead of looking at it as a we thing, she took it as a me thing. Oh, you're attacking me. Oh, I'm doing wrong. You don't do anything right. What about you? We all know those situations. The second one was a woman in a situation where I forgot just like that. Hold on.
Leadership does come with correction. You keep calling it disrespect.
We'll come back to it, but I forgot what the second one. But all three examples that she said, right? Women, if we're being honest, y'all have said all three of those replies, right? It may not have been the same exact situation, but hey, women, let's be honest, you've said those responses, right? And so that should mean something. That should mean, maybe I gotta examine myself, like 2 Corinthians says, Now, she just said a good leader comes with correction. A lot of women want a man that's a leader. You know that, oh, I married a leader. I didn't marry a follower. I didn't marry just a regular man. I married a good leader, right? And a lot of women look for a good leader in the home, but it's hard for your man to be a leader like you want him to be when you're always challenging him, when you're never taking his correction, right? It's hard for a man to do that. So you're really blocking your blessings because eventually he's not going to correct anymore and he's not going to be a good leader, right? He's going to be a follower. And guess who he's following? Not the Most High. He's going to be following you, right? Did you have your finger up?
Yeah. I was gonna say a lot of, you know how when you were saying that you may have some women say, well, oh, you're attacking me. You're attacking me. A lot of women that say that didn't grow up with a father in the household a lot of times. So they think they haven't grown up with a father in the household, so they don't know about, or they haven't seen a man with their mother and just, you know, showing correction to their mother. So they, a lot of times they've been around a lot of women, and vice versa with men too. You have men that grow without, that didn't grow up with a father, they grew up with their mother and grew up around a lot of women. They feel like when a person is correcting them, they feel like, oh no, that person is attacking me. That person is attacking me. They getting on to me. I don't like that. It's because they haven't been around a lot of times a male figure, or being able to see those things with a man and a woman.
Or they're oftentimes only used to being corrected by fellow women, like you said, because the a man is absent or a father figure is absent. They don't recognize that men correct differently from women, but they're only used to getting corrected by women. But the thing is, if you're going to live with a man, you got to be understanding of how a man corrects, and don't expect him to correct you like a woman would, right?
Right. And you also have to treat it differently because we know it's hard for women to keep friends. Why? Because women, once again, don't like being corrected. So the moment their friend corrects them or says something that doesn't align with their train of thought, they got to let that friend go. The difference is with a husband, you can't let your husband go, and you're supposed to listen to him, right? Even when it hurts, even when it feels bad, when it feels like you're being attacked, even when it feels like it's unfair, even when it feels like he can do no wrong and you're the only one doing wrong, right? It's hard to put your ego and pride aside and say, let me examine what's being said here. Let me examine the place that is coming from, right?
Really, is correction you don't want to receive.
Right? Correction you don't want to receive. It's not disrespect, it's correction that you don't want to receive. And all that is pride and ego. And we know both of those will lead you to destruction. Both of those will make you a wicked person, right? And this is where you have to crucify your flesh. You know, men struggle with a lot of fleshly things: lust, perversion, drugs, a lot of different things men struggle with. But women, although may not struggle with as much as men do, I'll say, in my opinion, one thing that women do struggle with in their flesh is pride and ego. They want to control everything and they want to have things their way. And that's why it does take a strong leader to lead not only a household, but the woman. It takes a strong man to lead a woman and then to his kids.
You're not being disrespected.
I'm going to play this again so I can get those three examples one more time.
Being corrected. And I had to learn that myself, because correction isn't always disrespect. You just don't know the difference. Every time your husband or partner tries to check you, correct you, hold you accountable, or tell you something you don't like, you take it as disrespect. And that's the problem. And it sounds like this. He might say, I don't like when you make decisions without asking me first. And instead of you hearing a man asking for partnership, you hear, he's trying to control me.
Right. the brother, I believe Obadiah, sent me a video of somebody saying, it's weird when a man is making more money than the woman, it's our money. A man could be making 200,000, the woman could be making 100,000. They both making six figures, but when the man's making the 200,000, it's the family got 300,000. But for some reason, when it's the other way around and the woman is making 200,000 and the man's making maybe 80,000, maybe 50,000, for some reason it's, oh, I'm making 200,000 instead of we're making the total. Why is that? Because women are very possessive as well. These are all character traits that women have to crucify in order to make it into the kingdom. Because at the end of the day, we're talking about traits that will hinder you from getting into the kingdom. You can be married to a righteous man. He might get in the kingdom, but just because he get in the kingdom, that don't mean that you will, right? Just because your kids are righteous kids, that don't mean that you'll get into the kingdom because you're their mom, right? You have to be able to crucify your flesh and not be a person, a wicked person, right? So that first example, right? You taking it personal. You're looking at me instead of we. You never stop to consider the other party's feelings in the matter. You don't even, a lot of women, they don't even consider their partner's feelings. It never comes into their mind, not one time. They don't think, oh, how can he be feeling after I just said that to him? They don't think, man, I really just ripped into him. I really should apologize. They don't think like that. And that's a problem. It can't always be me, right?
You might say, every time we need to talk, you keep shutting down. And instead of you receiving that as accountability, you turn it into, oh, well, now everything's my fault.
Right? So now you're placing blame. You're playing the tit for tat game. Everything's my fault. You're never in the wrong, right? And a lot of women respond like that as well. And one thing that we have to do is we have to focus on the right now. We can't bring up old situations. We can't try to even the score, right? Correction is correction. If you didn't correct that man when he did it in the past, don't bring it up now. Just because your man's correcting something that you're doing wrong, right? Focus on what's being said and apply it. Go ahead, Obadiah.
Con, I was gonna say too, you have some women out here that's jealous of their husband because he has that role of the man. Like, the man is the person, the man is mainly the one that provide, right, and take care. But you have some women out here that's jealous of that role and they want that role that their husband got. So that's kind of a lot of times when they crash heads or clash heads with each other, because the man trying to set the order in the house, then you got the woman wanting to be or wanting to have the role of the man, so she's trying to call the shots too. So it's like that's why it's like that. But the Most High didn't set it up like that. He set it up. It's an order in 1 Corinthians 11 that the man is over the woman, right? So the man is the leader of the household, right? And then the woman comes after, right? And she's supposed to be a helpmeet to the man, not trying to be the man. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead.
I was gonna say too, just to let me back on what you said. A lot of times that's the case, and a lot of times it's the woman thinking that she can do a better job at being a man than her man, right? If I was him, I'd be running this ship way better, right? And she start like the brother said, calling shots in the house, and like her sister saying in the video, making decisions without consulting her head because she thinks she knows best, right? But at the end of the day, man, the Most High created an order, whether you like it, believe it, agree with it or not. And if you in this truth, if you believe in this Bible, that's something that you have to submit to. And if you don't submit to it, happy shall he be, or happy shall she be, to fight against the will of God, right? And you can't fight against the will of God. I'm gonna let you know that right now. It's never going to end up in your favor. You're always going to end up miserable if you're fighting the role that he put you in, the role that he created you for, you're going to be miserable, because the only way he created you to get fulfillment is to submit to what he created you for.
Right. And that's a good point, because the thing about men, we won't feel fulfilled unless we're doing our role. We can be lazy, right? We can be deadbeats. We can leave our kids. We won't feel fulfillment unless we're doing our job and we're providing and taking care and leading our house, right? The same thing with the women. You won't feel fulfilled until you step into what y'all like to call your femininity, right? If you step into motherhood, if you step into nurturing, if you step into keeping the house, you will feel a sense of fulfillment. But the world that we live in, like I said, we're doing some washing by the word today after we get through these videos, right? The world has dirtied us up to the point to where we don't want those things that give us fulfillment. We don't believe that it will give us fulfillment. We won't give it a chance. And so, like Obadiah said, we end up coveting, resenting, and being jealous of another role that we desire when you were not made for that role, right?
Say, watch your tone when you talk to me. And instead of you fixing how you're coming across, you get defensive, like he's attacking you instead of correcting your action. And see, that's
right. So let me go to this other video so we can hurry up and get in these precepts. So second video coming from YouTube, Instagram. It's like, yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Hey, I wanted to add too, that even when it come to this topic, man, the brother Azrael said, you'll be miserable if you try to fight against the role that the Most High naturally created for you to be in. And I couldn't agree more, because I think about it now, like it boils down to, even when you're picking, your husband, or even when you're picking a man to lead you, you got to pick according to how the Lord wanted you to pick, a godly man. A lot of women who try to follow God have chosen, ungodlike men to be the seed bearer of their children, right? And now they're in a position where they're single mothers, they're raising children by themselves, all because even when it boils down to knowing how to, submit to the will of the Most High, submit to the position that he put you in, you don't take that responsibility even with your love life in relationships. So even though I know the topic is more so centered around letting your husband be the leader, but it's also the same thing. The Most High should be the man who you seek and counsel and you're walking with before you even get married in the earth. You know what I'm saying? In the physical. And if he's walking with you, you have a better and more clear understanding of what type of man that, you should receive in your life, and what type of man that you should stay away from.
Con, man, let me email this video real quick to my thing. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? And even on the other side of that too, when you get what you prayed for, when you get a righteous man, you got to treat that righteous man right. You know what I'm saying? I've seen in plenty of cases where men are being mistreated, and women forget, this is the man I prayed for. This is the situation I prayed to be in. This is he's treating me like I imagine a man would treat a woman. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't committed no sins against me. Yet you still treat him like trash. It shouldn't be like that, right? And like the brother Denal said, I've seen personally, not by any brothers on the screen. I got to put that disclaimer out there. Not by any brothers on the screen, but I've seen personally where a man who's in the knowledge of the truth, his wife has told him, I don't think that's very manly of you. It's not a woman's place to tell a man how to be a man, right? That should not come from you. And you can find a different way to say what you're trying to convey, but telling a man that's not very manly of you, or that's not what a husband should do, or you know, you should not be checking a man in that way, right? Because you're not a man, so you don't know how a man should be. You don't know what a man should do. You're not a husband. You should not be given the advice of what a husband is or what a husband should do, right? That should come from a man. Now, if you're trying to convey that you're upset with an action, or you're trying to explain to him why you're disappointed in something he did, then say it that way. But don't tell a man that he's not a man, or don't tell a man that he's not a good husband, right? And I'm saying that because most men, right, when we correct our women, we don't say, "Oh, you're a terrible woman, you're a terrible wife." No, when we correct, we're correcting out of love because we want you to be better. But we understand that we chose you to be our wife. So obviously, in our minds, be like, you know, you're a good wife. But we'll never come out of our mouth and say and try to tell you, hey, a wife wouldn't do that. A woman shouldn't be doing that. We're not women, right? Now we can say what we expect from you, right? We can instruct you on things that a husband wants from his wife, right? But we're not gonna say that you're a terrible wife, right? That's not very. Come on now. So this is some things that we got to put into perspective, right? Let me go to this other video.
And I was gonna say too, it all goes into knowing your spouse, man, right? And dwelling with your spouse according to knowledge. I know it says that pertaining for associating with men, dwelling with their wives according to knowledge, but it's manyfold, man. It works both ways. And why am I bringing that up? Is because a lot of times when you get those responses like, I don't think that's very manly of you, or you know, that's you're not being a husband, or you get responses like they know, like the woman knows how to be more of a husband and a father and a man more than you, right? And a lot of times that comes with it just doesn't come out of nowhere. That comes with comparison, right? Because you have an idea of what you think a man, a father, or a husband should be, and the only place you're getting that's different from your husband is from somewhere else, right? And so when you sit back and you look at it, you got to deal with your husband according to how he is, right? Your desire should be to your husband and figuring out how he operates, right? Not assuming how somebody else operates on him, but figuring out how he operates, because at the end of the day, it might seem unfair, but it's his show that he's running, right? It's not your dad's, it's not your granddad's, it's not your brother's, it's not nobody's, it's not your father-in-law, it's not nobody's show, but it's the man that you're living with in your house. He's running the show. You got to dwell according to knowledge, according to him and nobody else, and figure him out, right? Until you figure him out and respect how he does things, you're going to be miserable. You're on mute, brother.
Right. And what we're going over is, once again, like the title says, a husband's love, right? Within a husband's love is his correction, right? Within a husband's love is his leadership, and within a husband's love is his guidance, right? And so when you have become a wife to said husband, you have to be able to receive all of those things that come with a husband, right? And not from any other man or woman, right? Once you get you a husband, that's your world. And I know the world preaches against that. The world preaches, don't make that man your world. But no, once you get your husband, that is your world, right? That is, and when I say world, I'm talking about world in the sense of the context of like it says in the new covenant. Well, the New Testament, right? World being government. That's your government. That's your rulership. That's your leadership. That's how you live, right? According to him. And the problem why a lot of situations and relationships go wrong is because they don't see it that way.
with your homeboys and stuff like that, the reason why it's so fun and enjoyable to you is because they're not asking follow-up questions. They're not saying, hey bro, you good? Like, let's talk about it. Like, let's dissect this. Like, they're not doing that. So of course that's more fun to you because you don't have to actually deal with any of the stuff that you are struggling with. You're running, you're a runner, you're a track star. That's what you're doing. You just want to run away when it gets hard. It's not that our boys don't ask follow-up questions per se.
And I want to make notice of something. Usually, and I'm gonna say this, I may be biased because I'm a man, but usually when a man responds to a woman, it's in a calm voice. But for some reason in their head, they think we're yelling. But you notice how he responds. He's chill, he calm, he cool, right? And a lot of times it takes a lot for a man to get worked up. His first response 9 times out of 10 is like this, right? And it's because we understand, we know, according to knowledge, we know that we have to come this way, right? Or else if we don't come this way, it's definitely not getting heard, right? If we come this way, it's a possibility that it'll get heard. But I just wanted to point that out.
That our boys don't judge us for what we bring to them, right? Or take it personal, what we bring to them. I think oftentimes women in relationships forget who the man is that is talking to them.
Right, that's a key point. You're not talking to just anybody. You're talking to your husband, bro. You're talking to somebody that wants to do life for the rest of y'all's lives together. He wants to do it with you, right? He not some random dude you met at no club. Like, he not a random, bro. So when he says something, it's not to hurt you. When he says something, it's not out of competition. When he says something, it's not to pull rank. When he says something, he literally is entrusting you to be his partner and to be his teammate, right? He's taking the lead on the team. He's the team captain, but he still needs you. So when he has to tell the team something that the coach told him, which is the Most High, right? He got to tell his team that he don't want his team to hate him. You know what I'm saying? He wants the team to be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? We gonna rock with that until, you know, something else happens. Go ahead, Obadiah. You're on mute.
I was saying, yeah, he made a good point because, you know, you have some women they forget who they talking to. That's why a lot of times some cuss their husbands out. They call them a no good N word, but they wouldn't do that to their boss though. Like they'll talk to their boss with the very utmost respect. But when it comes to their husband, they tend to forget that this is the man that's my leader, right? This is my protector. So why is it you talk to your boss all calm and yes, sir? How you doing, sir? Hold the door for him. But when you come home to your husband, he just asks a simple thing. I don't do that. Why you won't do it? Right? I shouldn't have to do that. But it's like it shouldn't be like that, man. You know. But go ahead, you got it.
And then you know, you bring that up, and the response you get is, well, I should be able to be myself around you. Nah. If being yourself is disrespecting your husband, don't be yourself then. I'm here to say it. Don't be yourself then, right? If you can't give your husband the same respect you would give somebody at work, even when you ticked off at work, right? Don't be yourself, right? Matter of fact, die daily. How about that?
Too, you know, and that's because, like the brother Obadiah's point, you know, so a lot of times, man, we tend to care more about losing our jobs than losing our relationships, you know, and that's the problem. We got to restore the pinnacle of what life is centered around. Our job should be the very last, and I'm not saying that means be a bad hireling and go and cuss your boss out and, you know, be disrespectful to your boss, because I know that there's been days when I've even come home and maybe because of the weight of my shoulders that I deal with at work, I probably wasn't so polite to my wife. And, you know, we've had conversations about that. So I wouldn't tell nobody to be a bad, you know, worker, but at the same time, that level of respect has to be greater for your spouse than it is for your boss, because you should be more fearful about losing that relationship with your spouse, you know, being out of order with the Lord, as opposed to, you know, getting fired from your job just because you wouldn't tolerate the way your boss talked to you, you know. And that has to be something that has to be restored within, the hearts of men and women, especially our women, that do have these great careers and are very successful, and they worked hard to get to the position that they're in. But when it comes to, dealing with their husbands in the same manner that they deal with their business partners, sometimes it's not so comely. We got to change that.
And God forbid the boss that you cheesing in front of and being super respectful, God forbid that he fire you anyway, and you got to lean on the person you've been disrespecting.
Hey, what's that Tyler Perry movie, The Family That Prays? When the sister kept talking about William Cartwright this, William Cartwright that. Next thing, what happened? He didn't want nothing to deal with her. Like, at the end of the movie, he didn't want to deal with her no more. She tried to go right back to her husband that she was with at first. Come on, man.
I think he smacked her at the end of the movie.
Nah, that was before. He smacked her like in the middle.
Yeah, he slapped 5. Once he found
she
out,
committed adultery.
Yeah, also too, like he said, remember who you're talking to. You're talking to your husband, right? Your husband is an entity that you prayed for. You prayed to get married. You prayed to have a husband, and you prayed to have a husband that loves God, and you got that. You should not be calling him the B word. You should not be cussing at him, even if you're mad. You should not be doing any of those things, right? And it's sad, but we allow Satan a lot of times, women, to catch a hold of our tongue, and we say these things to our husbands, right? And we don't think, man, am I treating my husband like Christ? Would I say that to Christ if Christ was here? Would I say that to my husband if Christ was in the house? No, man. We know that's a fact, because even on the feast days, that's when you get the best version of your woman, because she know other people are in the building. She know that she got eyes on her. She knows that she got to make her family look good. You should be that woman 24/7. The woman that you are on the feast days, right? You should be that woman 24/7. Just because everybody goes home, and just because you're in your PJs and he's chilling in his PJs around the house, and he got and it's normal. Y'all feel like y'all just went back into the world because y'all got on normal clothes. Y'all feel like y'all, and nobody's around. So now y'all feel like y'all can talk to each other however y'all want to. You can't do that, right? You got to remember who you're talking to, right? And remember that these are part of the commandments to respect your husband. It's part of your commandments to not be bitter towards your wife. These are commandments. So you got to live by them, man, and understand this is a salvational issue, even when you get into arguments, right? When the Bible instructs us to not go to sleep angry, and the Bible tells us to not hold grudges and to be long suffering, right? When the Bible tells us to be forgiving, right, and to give each other grace, right? These things we have to actually apply to our life, not just forget about them, because our situations won't get better until we start operating that way.
We bring up these grievances, right? So if I bring up, hypothetically speaking, if I bring up a grievance in which you're the culprit, most women are going to take that personal, and they're going to get very, very, very defensive. You understand? Instead of understanding the source, understanding where it's coming from. This is not a stranger on the street that's telling you what you need to fix. This is not somebody that you just met one time at the job, a coworker or whatever, telling you what you need to work on. This is the man that loves you more than anything in this world. This is the man that's taking care of you. This is the man that's showing up for your son, or showing up for your daughter, or helping your mom out when she needs this, or your grandma out when she needs that.
That's a lot. That's another thing. Women have quick memories, right? They're quick to forget. They forget these things that he's listing. They forget the times that you've helped out. They forget that the times you went out your way. They forget. You know why? Because women have a hard time putting somebody else's shoes on. They're only worried about the shoes that are on their feet. They don't stop to think about what somebody else is going through in their day. And that's why it causes their tongue to be unruly, because they get so upset because of the feeling of being let down. But they don't understand how much they've overlooked. And they're really just breaking their own heart. And that's why they're so mad. But we got to be able to, like Paul said, not of my conscience, right? but of the conscious sake of others. You have to keep other people's consciences in your mind and understand and put yourself in their shoes and say, what have they done lately? Well, he did do that. He did do that. Man, this man might love me actually because he did do that, right? Your man shouldn't have to throw the things that he's done in your face, right? Because you don't have to do that to him. He knows the things that you've done to him, right? Trust me, men know. For example, right? And I'll let you go, Obadiah. For example, if men are out with their boys and their girl and their woman has been a tremendous woman lately, they gonna be, I gotta head home. Your brothers might give him slack, but the guilt of me, that man knowing that my woman, she's been, above and beyond, makes that brother want to go home. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't forget those things, but a lot of times women do have short-term memory. Go ahead, Obadiah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could tell, you could tell by the sister face on the screen, she listening to respond. Like she not listening to truly understand what this brother's saying. She more so looking into. She's listening. My bad. She's listening to see what can I say next to back what he just said instead of truly listening to try to hear his side. I can just tell by her face and how she looking that she already trying to respond all corrupt. But that's all I want to say.
Yeah, and too, in his example of men, right? When you talk to men, they don't make it personal, right? For example, a vague example, you could tell a man, "Hey, bro, you're not supposed to be doing that." You think he's gonna get? You think he's gonna get defensive if he knows he shouldn't be doing that? No, he's not gonna go tit for tat. Most men are gonna respond like this, bro. I already know, bro. He's gonna admit to it. Most men are going to admit to it, bro. I already know what you're gonna say. I know I'm in the wrong for that, but this is why I did it. They're gonna explain to you their thought process why they did it, but they're gonna take accountability, right? But a lot of times when you bring up something like that to women, a lot of times, like what's being said in the video, they just get thrown off and they feel like they're getting attacked and they don't take that accountability. Then they start attacking you. And then that's why men usually shut down and get quiet. Go ahead, Denal.
Another example would be like there's a brother that brother Azrael, kind of used to hang out with in the world. I'll say it like that, right? And they'll talk from time to time, and the brother kind of conveyed to brother Azrael like, "Hey, bro, I'm gonna need you to stop talking to me like that. I'm not the same dude from college, right? I'm not on that type of time, right?" And brother Azrael, if he was gonna respond like a woman, he would have got defensive, like, "Well, you always talk to me like that. You used to always talk to me like that." That's how a woman would respond. But instead, he was, "Hey, bro, my bad. I ain't peep that you moving differently now. I'll come at you differently, bro. I respect what you're saying, right?" A lot of times with men, we can talk with each other because we can say something, get it off our chest, right? And expect to be respected, right? Because 9 times out of 10, a man is gonna respect somebody what they're telling them, bro. If it's logical. See, a lot of times, a lot of women, they kind of say stuff that's on their chest, and you feel like you're not getting respected because the man doesn't think it's a respectable term, right? And one thing I want to say to women is that you have to understand the man that you marry, he's gonna look at everything with logic and reason. Not everything you bring to him is he going to act on, because he understands that a lot of times you might be going through a hormonal shift and you really not making no sense right now, right? You make sense to you right now because you in your feelings, but he can see that, nah, give it a couple of days, you're gonna feel differently. But him shutting you down in that moment, you take it as disrespect. No, he's just seeing the situation for what it is, right? Because a lot of even with men, if a man come to you and he gets something off his chest and it's not making no sense, a man gonna let you know, "I don't know, bro, I can't rock with that. That ain't making no sense," right? And either you gonna agree to disagree or whatever. A lot of times though, men still get over it, right? You still finish out your meal with your homeboy if you out eating, right? But if you do that with a woman, right, Meal is over with. Appetites are lost, right? So you got to understand and take accountability and hear the other person out.
This is that man, right? But instead of you processing it that way, that this is somebody that loves me, that's saying these things, you process it as if I'm somebody that's trying to attack you, right? And with our friends, that's not what we're getting.
Right. So a husband's love is not to attack. A husband's love is to love you, right? So let's start getting into these precepts, man. I got some good precepts lined up today, right? Let's start here. Ephesians 5. It's kind of tiny. Let me see if I can make it bigger. All right.
Hey man, them folks that went back to the blue screen, bro. The Bible app that we were talking about, they changed it back to red and they took the apocrypha out. They changed it back to blue, bro.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, man.
Ephesians 5:25, right? It says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ.
Hey, slow down the reading, brother. Let's read it with some intent.
It says, Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church.
Now, the brother right now, he didn't say, brother, you tripping, bro. I'm not even reading that fast. The brother he just, you know, that's you know, is an example, you know. But if you could start over from 25.
Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it.
Right. So husbands, man, it's commanding us to love our wives, even as Christ loved the church. That simple verse is deep, right? Because it's using a person, but with that person comes a lot of examples, right? Christ loved the church in so many ways. It's going to give you it's giving you an example right here. It says, and gave himself for it. But Christ himself loved the church way before he gave himself up for the church. He loved the church by what? Parables. He loved the church by what? Rebuking, whipping, chastising, right? He loved the church by what? Contending, teaching, right? Correcting, right? You can look at this by how he treated his disciples, right?
Well, one other thing he did also, I was going to add to your list, is exposing.
Right. He exposed a lot, you know what I'm saying? Brought a lot of things to the light, showed contradictions and hypocrisy, right? Right. He also put people's sins out before them, right? So this is how he loved the church, right? That's what love is. So your husband's expected to do those things in his household. He's expected to pull out all the hypocrisy in the household. He's expected to expose hypocrisy in the household. He's expected to correct in the household. He's expected to chastise, right, in the household. And the thing about it is the church never, you know, when you look at the disciples, man, they didn't backtalk Christ. If they didn't know something, they might even been too scared to even ask Christ. That's how much they revered him. And when they asked him, they were attentive to get the lesson that was laid out for them, right? You see him even rebuke Peter and say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." You see him say, he calls his disciples foolish. He calls his disciples, "O ye of little faith." He asks rhetorical questions. These things are a love that he gives, right? But a lot of times women take those things as being attacked and being disrespected. You have to understand this is a husband's love. You got to rewire your mind. I know what social media and I know what your family and I know what your friends and I know what school has taught you and your work field has taught you being around other women. You have to rewire your mind and understand that a husband's love is not disrespect. You have to understand that it is, in fact, love. Go ahead, Obadiah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, the Most High give the man a level of power over the woman. Even when you get into the law, I think it was going to vows. If a woman vowed a vow and her husband heard it, and he didn't want her to go, like he didn't want that vow to go through, he could interfere with that vow that that woman made with the Lord. So that just shows you how much power that the man have over the woman, man. Not that the woman, not the power like how the brother said. We've been taught here in America a lot that the woman is over the man. That's how it's pushed, or independence. But the Most High God set man up over the woman, so the woman can lead the woman. I mean, the man can lead the woman, and show the woman the way to go, because the scriptures does say that she's the weaker vessel. Go ahead, my bad. Go ahead.
Speaking of her being the weaker vessel, you know, and that leads to women making decisions based off of emotion, right? Example would be like when who was it? Was it either Rachel or Leah? Forgot which one it was. That gave birth to Benjamin, right? And I think it might have been Rachel, because she died, ain't it?
Yeah, Rachel died. Yeah.
And so she said she was gonna name him son of my sorrow, right? Now Jacob came in and was like, "Nah, we ain't naming him son of my sorrow, bro." Right? Because like you want to project your trauma onto this baby, you know what I'm saying, and name him after something that you brought on yourself. You know what I'm saying? We're not naming him that. So he kind of revoked that thing. You know what I'm saying? But at that same thing with other scenarios, a lot of times women get mad at men reversing stuff that they do because the men sees it's done out of emotion and not out of good intent, right? Now, I'm sure if Rachel was alive, she probably would get mad at Jacob, like, "Why'd you change my baby's name?" Right? But he understood, like, I don't want that on my son. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way in life today. When your husband changes something that you do, right? A lot of times he's seeing something that you're not, and you got to trust in your husband, your spiritual leader, right? That he's making the right decision.
Come on, man. Read verse 26 now, right? Because this verse is deep, man. This verse is deep.
Verse 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
So a husband should wash his household by the word of God. And that is a form of love, right? Using these scriptures to wash the spirit and the brain and the mind and the heart of everyone in his house, so that they're clean and they're thinking clean and they're thinking how they're supposed to, right? Number 27, right, is deep as well, right? Because number 27 is, that's the end goal. Read verse 27.
Verse 27, that he might present it to himself a glorious church.
A what?
A glorious church.
Right.
Not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish.
So your husband's love is literally, he's wanting you and him and y'all's family to make it to the kingdom. He wants to, on Judgment Day, present his household as a glorious church. How can he do that if you're cussing at him, if you're being rebellious to him? He can't do that. And the Most High going to look at him like a bad leader, and he's definitely going to look at you as a bad wife. You don't ever listen to him. You do your own thing, right? His job is to love you, and to love you means he's preparing you to be a glorious church. He's preparing to be a glorious wife, right? Without having spot or wrinkle. That's why he's correcting you so much. That's why he's chastising you. That's why he's telling you not to wear this, not to do that. But he has the job of loving you so much to make sure you make it into the kingdom, right? It is his job. It's on him, right? He got to present you, right, without spot or wrinkle. Right, now let's get this next precept. If you could read this, Obadiah.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 7 through 9. A man has no need to cover his head.
This is the GNT, the Good News Translation. Read it a little slower, please.
He said, a man has no need to cover his head.
Right, so this is a different way of saying this scripture, right? Right, a man has no need to cover his head, right? We're getting into the tradition or the custom of head coverings and uncovering your head, right? It says a man has no need to cover his head. Why? Keep reading.
Because he reflects the image and glory of God.
Right. The man reflects the image and glory of God, not the woman. The man does. Right. That's why it was a custom for the men to uncover their head, because that would be like God seeing his child. And, you know, God is delighted when he sees his child. It's a glory unto God. Right. Go ahead.
But woman reflects the glory of man.
The woman reflects the glory of the man. Right. She doesn't reflect the glory of God. She reflects the glory of the man. Right. So it's a woman that glorifies her man. It glorifies the husband. Right? Keep reading.
For man was not created from woman, but woman from man.
Man was not created for the woman, but the woman for the man. So you need to have that in your mind. Society has done a great job of dirtying up the way our women think. It is almost, if you say this to a woman, it is almost you might as well have cheated on her. You might as well have gave her a sexually transmitted disease when you say that a woman was made for the man, right? Because they don't. Women have been taught that they are over men. Women have been taught that they are made in God's image. When the Bible says that the man was made in God's image, and then man was lonely, right? And needed somebody, and God made woman from man, right? So the man's made in God's image. One man, really, it literally is, meaning you are made in the image of a man, right? And so when we dissect that, it sounds narcissistic, it sounds misogynistic, it sounds bad, but that's because of the way that we've been brought up to think. These are some things, like I said at the beginning of this video, that we need to be able to constantly think about, right? Women need to reflect on verses like this because it is no longer in their mind. It's not in their mind that they reflect the glory of a man. It's not in their mind that they were created for the man. If it was in their mind that they were created for the man, they would understand in their households that, you know what? It's what he says go, because I'm here for him. I'm on his time. I'm here to help him. But because this is no longer in their mind that they were created for the man, they think the man was created for them. They think the man was to be a helpmeet to them. They think the man is to cater to them. They think that the man is to give every ounce of himself to them. And that was never the case. It was never the case. It was the opposite, right?
Hey, I want to add too, you know, this is foolishness, right? So, but you know, I always gotta throw a little world in there, because a lot of people in the world can relate, man. Destiny Child had a song called "Let Me Cater to You," you know, and being honest, that's what, you know, women, that's what you were designed for, to cater to the man. Let me cater to you, and I forgot all the lyrics and stuff, but like everything that a man needs, that's what you're there for, to be his helpmeet, his pillar of rest. So in order to really fulfill your role according to the Lord, man, you got to tap in with Destiny's Child a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Because in doing so, you know, catering to your man, and in return, women, like we always say, women don't realize how much power that you really have over a man when you actually doing what you're designed to do. Because like the analogy Brother Azrael brought up earlier, by you fulfilling your role and catering to that man, you don't even realize that man, hey, he making sure he in the house early. You know what I'm saying? He gonna make sure he buying you flowers, doing random acts of kindness. And yeah, we all agree that that stuff should be done regardless of the situation. However, no man wants to sit up here and be nice, do nice gestures for a woman who's not even really being nice to him, you know? So it comes with its perks, you know, both male and female, but especially when women, y'all operating y'all role, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Right. And you know, phrases like this should be unacceptable. Why does everything have to be on your time? I'm not gonna clean up after you. Who are you talking to? Phrases like that does not exemplify being made for that man. If you were made for that man, you would not say those things, right? You would not say, I'm not cleaning up after you. You wouldn't say, who are you talking to? Right? You wouldn't say those things. Because at that point, he was made for you now. You got to watch the way that the world wants you to think. The world wants to dirty your mind, but we're getting washed by the word by reading these things, and we have to put them back in our mind. The woman was made for the man. The man was on the scene first. The woman was made for him. Not made for God. Not saying that you can't be used by God. Not saying that you're not going to be in the kingdom. Don't get sensitive. But you were not made for God. You were made for man. And the quicker you understand that and realize that, the more fulfillment you'll have in your life, and the easier it will be to get to the kingdom.
Ain't that crazy, man? That most women, man. I won't even say most women. What I'll say is, it's crazy how you can clean up after your son, right? All your sons, you can clean up after your daughter, right? Your father, your brothers, right? Your uncles. But when it comes to your man, he better get that stuff himself, right? Christ could come on the scene, right? And leave behind something, right? It's no problem. You clean it up and you do it for him. But the person that you're supposed to be submitting to for life, right? Like the brother Isaiah said, and like the brother Azrael said, there's no desire to cater to that person. There's no desire to serve that person, when that in fact is what you were created to do.
Right. If you another one, right? If your man wants to be intimate with you, you were made for him. So how can you tell him no? You were made for him. Because who else is he supposed to be intimate with, if not somebody that was created for him? Go ahead, Obadiah. I know you've been waiting for a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, just like that woman was on Coming to America. You know, the dude that was giving his daughter to the king. I forgot what his name. What his name was in the movie. I forgot his name. Eddie Murphy. But you know, she was like, she said, I'm here to serve you. And he said, hop on one leg. I think she hopped on one leg. He said, bark like a dog. She barked like a dog. But the whole point of that is that wasn't the point. That's not the point I'm making. The whole point is of the role. She understood her role as a woman. She understood that I'm here to serve you. I'm here to do what you want me to do. And that's how a lot of our wives got to be, man. But yeah.
Ironically, now that happened in the movie with Eddie Murphy, where he told her to bark like a dog. And now all you see on social media is girls posting videos talking about something, bark like you want it. Right? Now they want the man to bark. You know what I'm saying?
It's madness.
Right. Read verse 9 for me.
I just put that in my comments, man. But verse 9.
I haven't heard what y'all talking about. Bark like you want it. I haven't heard it.
Bro, you've heard that tone before, bro. Right. Bark like you want it. Bark like you want it.
I've never heard that sound bite.
What? That's crazy, bro. Yes, you have, bro.
I haven't. I swear I haven't.
Brother living under a rock.
Mm-hmm. My wife just said the Qs love it. So I don't know.
It's been around for a minute. I ain't gonna lie. You better bark like you want it. Bark like you want it.
Sexy dancer, dance like you want it. You never heard that?
Oh, that song?
Yeah.
I done heard that song.
Yeah, I've heard that song. Read verse 9 for me, though, brother O.
Oh, verse 9. Nor was man created for woman's sake, but woman was created for man's sake.
Right. A man was not created for your sake, women. Like, the things that a man does for you is because he's simping, right? Even the bare minimum, he's simping because he was not made for your sake. He was not made for your sake. He wasn't made to make your life easier. Contrary to popular belief, you were made for his sake. The things that you think that you're doing because he's ruling over you and you're a slave and you're this and he's that, and the things that you're doing, you were actually supposed to be doing that. The things that he's doing for you, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to go put gas in your car. He didn't have to go pay your rent. He didn't have to go do the dishes for you. He didn't have to put the kids to bed for you. He didn't have to change the diapers for you, right? You were made for his sake. Yes, those are his kids, because what you're gonna do, you're gonna tell them, those your kids too. These ain't just my kids. Take care of your own kids. Guess what? That's why he had a wife. And that's what wives were for. And I'm saying that because that has been forgotten and it has been pushed on our women that the men's role is to do the women's role. Nowadays, you'll see men catering to the kids more than the women. The women, you know, they're on vacation. The women, they doing what they want to do, right? And you know, they living their best life. And the men, they're the ones, don't do that. Come over here. Don't do that. Don't put that in your mouth. Come over here. Let me feed you. Come on, I gotta take you to the bathroom. That's all you see on social media. Giving my woman some me time, her weekly me time. I'm giving my woman her weekly me time. You were made for her. You were not made for her sake, brother.
Hey, what they say, happy wife, happy life.
Right. And so what happens when you can't give that woman her me time? 1 week gets a little hectic. And now she mad at you. And it may be for good reason that you couldn't give her me time that week. But now she mad at you because you're not a man of your word. You said you're going to give me my me time once a week. And that's what happens. All the inch you give it, you get a mile. But I'm just saying all this to say the nice things that your man does for you, he does not have to do according to God. But the things that your man wants you to do, you're required to do because you were made for his sake. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you were made for everything that he wanted, whether that was intimacy, whether that was somebody to talk to and vent to, whether that was somebody to rub on his back, whether that was somebody to feed him, whether that was somebody to bear children. You know, you get a lot of women, you know, I'm just here to bear children and cook and clean. I'm just here to just be a maid to you. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry that you feel that way. And I'm sorry to say it, but you were here for his sake. You were here to be his maid. It literally calls you a fair maid, a young maid, right? It's saying these things because that was the culture that we lived in, but we have been brainwashed to think that that's evil. And that's why the things that are coming out of my mouth right now is triggering. It's triggering, but that's because it's been taught to us a different way. Go ahead, though. You're on mute.
And you will have some women, like you said, you know, our wives is made, you know, if the man got an event and things like that, you will have some women when they get mad, they'll go tell everything their husband just vented to them about. To my things that was supposed to be private. As soon as that woman get upset, next thing you know, everybody know about what's going on. I seen the video like that, man. I seen the video it was like a cartoon. The dude was crying because his mom had died, and then his wife was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be here for you," and things like that. Because he was in the bathroom, right? So when she walked out the bathroom, he heard her on the phone with her mom. She was like, "Mom, you was right. He is so weak. He's crying. He's crying like a little baby, Mom." And it's like, it can't be like that, man. If your husband come to vent to you about something, especially something personal, don't tell his business when you may get upset at him or something that he may do that you dislike. Now you're going to run and tell his business.
Right, man. I got a friend from high school. He literally just called off of his marriage. He was engaged. He literally just called off his marriage literally last week because of what you just said. They got in a disagreement and she called her mom and her sister and said, "I thought this was a getting money nigga. This nigga's so weak." And he was telling us in our group chat, man, she hit me with some low blows. I don't even want to tell y'all because it hurts so bad. Right. And he said, man, I didn't think that she would be like this. I didn't know that this was in her character. Right. This whole time of us dating, I didn't know that this was in her character. She's showing her true color. Right. And so they called off the marriage or whatever. And she left. And guess what she did? She stole everything that he bought for her and sold it on Facebook. Right. She sold it, man. So that's the thing. That's what happens when your brain is geared to think that a man is made for your sake, but a woman is made for the man's sake. So with that being said, right, your man is entitled to speak to you however he wants. It's not, who are you talking to? Don't talk to me like that. Watch your tone when you're talking to me. Don't talk to me in front of my kids like that. Don't talk to your kids like that. You can't tell that man how to talk to his kids, and you can't tell him how to talk to you. You were made for his sake, so he could talk to you however he wants. I know that sounds harsh, right? For another example, if your man is the type of man to where, I can't go to sleep unless I'm cuddling with my girl, man. I can't go to sleep. I would just be up all night. You were made for his sake. So what do you think you need to do? If your man can't go to sleep at night because he needs to cuddle, if you were made for it's easy math. If you were made for his sake and he needs to cuddle to get a good night's rest, what do you think you do? Are you going to say, I don't care, nigga? I don't care. I don't care. Is that what you're going to say?
I ain't in the mood.
Or are you supposed to cuddle your man, right? And this would be the same scenario of a man getting another wife, right? Now we're bringing in poly. It'd be a same scenario of a man getting another wife. He get another wife, and now you looking dumbfounded, and you want to still blame him because he had to get somebody that was made for his sake because you wasn't acting like you was made for his sake. So it's time to get right in our minds so that our situations don't get worse. Because if and I heard this from a friend who was getting counseled by a bishop. He said his bishop said, you're looking for a problem. You don't have a problem, but you're looking for a problem, and you'll eventually find one, right? So you have to understand that you don't have no problem to begin with. You're just in your own way, right? And you have to get the fulfillment from what God created you to do and what he created you to be. You have something to say, Denal?
Well, I had a precept. I don't know if you got it in your Rolodex here, so I'll just wait.
All right. We'll get the next precept. Colossians 3:19.
Colossians 3:19. It says, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them.
Once again, love your wives, right? So husbands, this is titled The Husband's Love. Husbands, love your wives, right? You got to love them, right? And be not bitter against them. A lot of men, when they have a forward, I hope I'm saying that right, a forward or a contrary woman, or a contrarian as a woman, a rebellious woman, a lot of times they'll be bitter and shut down. They'll stop loving their wife. What does that look like? They'll stop correcting their wife. They'll stop leading their wife. They'll stop doing the things that love requires, because love is an action. But it commands us here to love our wives and be not bitter. All right, let's get the next precept. Hebrews 12:6.
Hebrews 12. Oh, my bad.
I was going to read it. Hebrews 12:6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth and scourges every son who he receiveth.
Right. So we should look. This is showing that love is equal to chastisement. So we should love the same way the Lord does. And sometimes the Lord prevents us from doing things that we want to do. In your marriage, your husband's going to have ideas. He's going to have disagreements with you, and he's going to oppose you sometimes and not allow you to do what you want to do. You have to look at that chastisement as love, right? You feel like he's holding you back. You feel like he never listens. You feel like you don't get your way, and it's always his way. You have to stop being attacked by that and understand that it's love. At the end of the day, the Lord loveth who he chasteneth. If your husband is chastising you, it's hard to believe. I understand, because it doesn't feel like it. Your emotions, your flesh, it doesn't let you feel like it. But if your husband is constantly correcting you and chastising you, telling you what not to do, right? He loves you because there's a reason why he's saying those things, right? So we are here at Sirach chapter 26. Salakia. So we're gonna read Sirach chapter 26. I got the hold on. Updated. All right, Sirach chapter 26, 1 and 2. Hold up. Let me make sure. Let me see.
Why you make sure, man? I got a preset and I got it pulled up on my phone right here. I'll read it out loud.
Go ahead.
It's Genesis 3:16, man. It's a classic.
I got that on here.
Oh, you do? I didn't see it on your
Yeah, I got it on here. It's probably yeah.
I didn't see it on the on the little script that you had.
I had it next to First Timothy.
Oh, I see it now. I'll wait.
Yeah. So let's read this real quick. Hold up. I know I didn't just delete. Oh, there you go. All right, cool. Sirach 26. You read this already? Yeah. Sirach 26, man. Let's read. Which one was it again? Salakia. We're gonna read 1 and 2, 4, 13 and 14, and 26. Gonna skip around a little bit, but it's good. Sirach, let's read 1 and 2.
All right, Sirach chapter 26, verse 1 through 2.
God.
Blessed is the man that has a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double. A virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace.
Right, so you should want your husband to fulfill his life in peace, right? Women need to ask themselves today, right now, is my husband at peace? Do I think that my husband is living at peace right now? Or is there something that my husband wants that he doesn't have? Is there something that my husband needs that he's not getting? Right? You got to ask yourself, is my husband at peace? Right? You got to ask these things. And he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. That comes from a virtuous woman. Go ahead, Obadiah.
I was gonna say something I just thought about. I know in the beginning of the lesson we was talking about. I think I had brought it up how sometimes you may have a woman that wanna have the role of a have the role of the husband and want to have that power that the husband have. So you have some women. I know Azrael, you were saying about when it comes to what's the word I want to use? Being intimate. A lot of women may withhold that from the man if they're upset to show I have or to try to give off a type of power. Like, I got the power to not give you this. So I'm upset and I'm not in the mood and you made me upset. So I'm finna have you suffer, right? You finna go a whole week. It ain't gonna cook nothing. So, some women do that, man, to try to have some type of power, over that man.
Come on, man. That's a fact. That's a fact, man. And that does not give a man peace, right? It doesn't give a man peace when he's frustrated in any way, right? If you feel like your man is frustrated, especially if you feel like your man is frustrated with you, you got to be able to humble yourself and work to change that so your man can live in peace. Because you should want your husband to have a lengthy amount of days. Why? Because your kids deserve that, right? Let's read verse 4.
Verse 4, whether a man be rich or poor, if he have a good heart towards the Lord, he shall at all times rejoice with a cheerful countenance.
Right? So your man may be rich, right? And your man may be poor. These things are not criteria for a woman to act right, though, right? These things, your man should still be at peace whether he's at rich or poor because you are a virtuous woman, right? And so if your man doesn't feel at peace with his woman and doesn't feel like his woman is a ride or die and is going to be there till the wheels fall off, right? As the world say, for richer or for poor, for better or for worse, right? Then your man's not going to, if you're not there for that, your man's not going to be at peace. So women, you got to understand y'all's role runs deep, man, and it sounds like slavery. I understand. It sounds like it sounds unfair, which it is unfair. It was made to be that way, though, right? But your life will be glorified in the Lord once you do these things. And once you do these things, your husband will have a countenance about him that will make your life beautiful, right? Let's read verse 13 and 14, right?
Verse 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones.
Fatten his bones. This is deep. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, meaning what? You're supposed to always give your husband grace. When he falls, when he misspeaks, right? When he misspeaks, when he falls, when he does things that are questionable, you the one that's supposed to give him grace, because life ain't gonna give him grace. His friends ain't gonna always give him grace. His job not gonna give him grace, right? His kids might not give him grace. His family might. You the one that gotta give him grace. It's gonna delight in him when he knows that his wife always is gonna be there. Even when he makes the wrong decision, his wife is gonna give him grace. Right? So you guys got to practice, women got to practice giving their husband grace. We need it. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times it feels like, to a man, it feels like, dang, man, I just feel like I got to be on my P's and Q's, because I feel like the moment I slip up, man, I don't know what my wife will do. I don't know what my wife will say. If my wife, a lot of men feel like they don't have grace from their wife. Right? They feel like they get grace from everybody else except for their wife. And so a lot of times that causes them to live in fear of their wife, and it causes them to be simps, right? And to go out their wits for their wife. Why? Because they don't get grace from their wife. So for a man to properly love you, for a husband to properly love you, you have to be giving him that grace, right? Your man's not going to always get it right. He's not going to always be right. He's not going to always make the right decision. You're supposed to be there to what? To the wheels fall off. Right, let's read verse 14.
Verse 14. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed.
As a mind well instructed, you got to ask yourself, your husband is going to love you by instructing you. You have to ask yourself as a woman, am I easily instructed? The Lord said he doesn't, bro. A silent, loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth a mind well instructed, right? A man that has a woman who takes instruction, that's one of the greatest gifts that God can give anybody, right? So as women, right, you have to understand that a form of love is instruction, and you have to ask yourself, am I well instructed, or do I rebel? Or do I always gainsay and talk against and always tit for tat, and it's always my way? Or I don't want it to be his way. I don't want his instruction. I want the instruction of another man, or I want the instruction of another woman, or instruction of another person, or instruction of a podcast, or instruction of what we see on social media in comparison. You got to ask yourself as a woman, am I well instructed? Right? We got to be washed by the word now. Let's read verse 26.
Verse 26. A woman that honoreth her husband shall be judged wise of all, but she that dishonoreth him in her pride shall be counted ungodly of all.
If you dishonor your husband, how? In pride, you will be counted ungodly. So you know how many ungodly women there are, right? That dishonor their husband because of their pride, because they can't be seen that their husband controls them. They can't be seen that their husband runs their house. They can't be seen. You know how many women are living ungodly lives and God sees them as ungodly? You think ungodly is going to make it into the kingdom? No, they're not. So you have to literally every day put your pride aside until you get to the kingdom. It's going to be a work. We're not in our land of rest yet. You women got to work to put your pride aside every day. You can't take a break. Go ahead, Obadiah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, no man don't want to hear Byron all day or Marcus. A man don't want to hear that, all the time. And the thing about it is, some women think, well, just because I wear a head wrap or I wear a dress, I'm righteous, right? I'm holier than thou. But so a lot of women like that be a lot of wicked ones. That wear the head wrap and the dress and feel like I'm more holier than thou, because that don't make you a good wife just because you change your appearance and things like that. It's an inward thing, like the scripture says, circumcise your heart, right? You gotta be born again. You have to become a new creature, and a lot of people focus on the outward appearance, and this truth, they come into this truth and start focusing on the outward appearance first, that they tend to forget about the inward appearance. Modesty, yeah, of course, modesty is outwardly as well, but modesty starts inwardly. You have to be modest within first, and then it will show outwardly, how you are.
Right. Pride, man, it looks a lot of different ways. For example, pride could be a lot of women that have a lot of accomplishments in the world. They'll put that over their husband, right? And they'll put that over their husband so much so that their pride gets them puffed up and so full of their accomplishments that they get beside themselves, and they feel like that person that they have accomplished more than can't tell them anything, can't do nothing for them, can't do anything right. I'm the only one that can do right. I'm the only one that has a mind that's working. I'm the only one that can make sound judgment calls, and I'm the only one that understands the dynamics of everything. You got to let your pride go, right? Pride also looks like, for example, I'll say this. A few years ago, this is a personal example. A few years ago, right? We got scammed. I say we because, men, we always say we. If it's a woman, let a woman tell it. They'll be like, nah, you got scammed. But, men, we like to say we. So I'm going to say we got scammed, right? And in this situation, I told my wife, I said, hey, you got to be careful about Zelle. Don't go through with it just yet. And at the time, we were struggling for money. We needed money at the time. And I said, don't go through with it just yet. Right. To my liking, my wife, she said, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then the next day I hear that we got scammed out of like $3,000 because she went through with it anyway. Right. So sometimes pride can come in the form of, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I have discernment of my own. Sometimes pride comes in that form like that, and it'll cause you to make a decision after you even agreed with your partner on a different decision. You make a different decision than the decision that y'all agreed on. So we have to work every day to put that pride aside, right? So we don't have situations like that. 1 Corinthians 11:3.
1 Corinthians 11:3, and it reads, but I would have you know that the head is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God.
Right, the head of the woman is the man. Right, the head of the woman is the man. Right, so just like we know that Christ, that it says the head of Christ is who? Is God. So we know that God sent Christ. God gave power to Christ. God gave these things. God spoke to Christ. God did these things, right? So you have to understand, women, the power that you get, the notoriety that you get should come from your husband, right? The instructions that you get to be sent to do something or to not do something, it comes from your husband, right? That's the order. Because just like God does those things to Christ, your husband does those things for you. Right? Let's get this real quick. 1 Timothy 3:4, and it's back on Brother Denal. So Denal, you can read this one and you can read Genesis after this one. These two are paired together, right? 1 Timothy 3 and 4.
1 Timothy 3 and 4, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity.
Right? So men should rule well their own house, right? So your man you should feel like your man is ruling you. That's a good feeling. But we've been taught that that's a bad feeling. We've been taught that that's misogynistic. We've been taught that that's toxic, abusive. You should feel like your man is ruling you. If you don't feel like your man is ruling you, there's no order in your house. Anything can go. Anything's liable to happen. Somebody has to be there to take accountability for all the actions that happen in that family, right? Whether they're good or bad. And that's your husband. And your husband should be ruling your house. If your husband's not ruling your house, or if you're fighting to rule your house, if you want to be the one to rule your house, right? And you're fighting your husband wants to rule, you want to rule. So he does this, then you do that. He says this, but you say that. You're fighting to rule your house? No, it says the husband should rule his house well. So you have to put your pride aside and let him rule. You got to let him rule the house. That's his job, not yours. But I understand the society that we live in. They taught you, hey, just like Eve, you can surely, if you bite this fruit, nothing that won't happen to you. And what happened? Our women, they bit the fruit just like Eve did and said, hey, this little power ruling tastes good. This fruit tastes good. And they end up having their brain and their mind dirtied. Right, but you gotta wash it with this word. Let's read Genesis 3:16.
Genesis 3:16. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
Come on, man. So we see here that the husband should rule over thee. The thee is the wife. So ruling is a husband's love, right? A husband's love, a part of that is to rule, right? He has to rule over his woman. He has to rule over his children. And every situation and scenario we see that a man is not ruling over his women or his children, we see that situation gets brought to naught or embarrassment or some type of condemnation, right? You have to be able to, even King David, one of the, if not the best, most renowned king in the Bible, he did not rule his children. And we saw how his children acted up and what came to his children. So you have to be able to rule your wife and rule your children as a man. And that's part of a man's love. But women, you have to let him rule your children. You can't tell your husband how he should talk or how he should treat. You're not going to beat my kids. You're not going to say them. He's the ruler of that child. You shouldn't be saying to your husband, you don't rule me. I have my own mind. I can do what I want. That shouldn't be coming out your mouth. He's the ruler of you too. Go ahead, Obadiah.
No, I ain't had none, Ken.
All right, come on. All right, let's get this last precept. Timothy 2:14.
1 Timothy 2:14. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression.
Right. And I'm just ending it with this just to say, sometimes women, the things that are in your mind seem good because you've been deceived. Right. And a lot of times the man, whether that man is smart, intelligent or not, the man is logical and follows simple directions and instructions. And if we know not to do something, we don't make excuses or we don't go around it or try to find loopholes. We just say, no, we're not supposed to do it. But I'm saying this to say it was the woman that was deceived first. So that's why this order is put into place. You have to keep that in mind when you think that you're outsmarting your husband, because he was the one that was put over you to rule you and to lead you. Now, you're the one that took him on as a husband. So you have to submit to that if you want to get to the kingdom. Just like Abigail had to submit to Nabal, even though Nabal was a fool. If you want to get to the kingdom, you have to submit to your role as a woman. And he needs to be able to do his role as a man if he wants to get to the kingdom. So if you guys both love each other, y'all need to make sure that you guys are operating in your roles, right? He needs to be able to love you. And all the things that we've said today is how he loves you. And you need to be able to let him love you, right? But Khan, that's all I had to say. Closing remarks, Obadiah. I saw your finger go up.
Yeah, you made a good point, man. Like with Abigail, a man shouldn't dictate if you're gonna be a good wife or not. Like you can't be like, well, this man treat me right, okay, I'm gonna be submissive. And he not treat me right, he kind of going off and stuff. I ain't gonna be submissive to him. No, right? You still have to do your part as a woman, man, right? Because you were still called to be that man's helpmeet,
right? Because vice versa, a man can't say, well, my wife ain't ish, so I'm gonna be a deadbeat dad. I'm gonna be rolling. Right. I'm gonna be messing with prostitutes. And when God asks you why you doing all that, it's because the wife that you gave me, you're gonna be just like Adam. The wife that you gave me, she convinced me to eat the fruit. You can't do that. You gotta do your role. Y'all both are in charge of y'all role. It doesn't matter how the other party acts. Just because Eve ate the fruit, that don't mean that you were supposed to eat it, Adam. Right? And so this is the thing. It goes both ways. So women, just because your man you married him and you feel like you've been gypped, you feel like he's not the man that you prayed for, and you got into this situation and you just hate it. Pray, fast, and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because if you want to make it into the kingdom, it don't matter what your man doing. That man could be sent as a tempting spirit to tempt you to go off so that you don't make the kingdom. And likewise, men, if your woman she going off, she going crazy, you know what I'm saying? Stay in the spirit, don't sin, right? And I'll say this because a lot of times what happens is a man, he'll get fed up eventually, but a man does have a long-suffering spirit, and it's up to you women to understand when your man is being long-suffering because he's supposed to be in peace, right? And if he's not in peace, he can't properly love you, right? Go ahead. You had something else to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, especially if you're a wife, man, you got to be a prayer warrior, man. Like you can't be so quick to give up. Oh, he ain't doing right. Divorce. All right, I'm not married. I'm not married no more. No, you gotta be a prayer warrior, man, because your husband, he the head. But so your husband the head, right? So who you think Satan going to try to attack? The head. So instead of bashing your husband, instead of being so quick to be done with him, pray for him, fast for him, talk to the Lord for him. You gotta be a prayer. If you're a wife, you gotta be a prayer warrior, for your household and for your husband, man.
Come on, man. Gotta be that. But yeah, man, I know it's been a lengthy video, man. A lot of talking's been said. Any other brothers got anything else to say?
Mighty lesson, man. And I also wanted to say, what's that song? I just want somebody, treat me like somebody. Yeah, yeah. Man, all men want is that somebody, man. Are you that somebody as a woman? And if you are, I'll praise to the Most High, because again, a man loveth nothing better, man. A mighty lesson.
Come on, man. You got songs like that. You got songs like "Who Run the World, Girl." You got that song like "This is a
man's world."
Right. So that song back in the day was more so of our culture, and you see how the culture shifts to a different direction, right? He still gives his props to the women. It'll be nothing without a woman or a girl. He said grill, but it'll be nothing without a woman or a girl. But it's a man's world. I'm sorry, it is. That's how we've been created. And this word that you believe in and that you believe will help you get to the kingdom, it says that. So we have to operate like that, man. So that's all I got today, man. That's all I got for tonight. Hope it was edifying. Hope it gave people something to think about. And I hope it was received in the right way. Like our big brother Christ said, man, if you're not gathering together, you're scattering. So gather together, O nation, not desire. Shalom.
Shalom.